First contact in the Galactic crisis. The bridge of the starship Terra Nova hummed with quiet efficiency as Captain Elena Vasquez reviewed the morning reports. 3 months into humanity's first deep space exploration mission, the crew had settled into a comfortable routine of scanning star systems and cataloging new worlds. The universe seemed vast and empty, filled with beautiful planets but devoid of intelligent life. That changed in an instant when Lieutenant Hayes called out from the communication station. "Captain, I'm receiving a transmission on an unknown frequency. It's not coming from Earth, and the signal pattern is unlike anything in our databases." Elena straightened in her command chair, her dark eyes focusing with the intensity that had earned her command of humanity's most advanced starship. "Can you translate it?" "Working on it now, Captain. The signal appears to be using mathematical constants as a foundation. Whoever sent this understands advanced physics." Hayes paused, his fingers dancing across his console. "Captain, I think they're trying to establish first contact." The bridge fell silent except for the soft hum of life support systems. Dr. Marcus Chen, the ship's xenobiologist, moved closer to the communication station. "This is it," he whispered. "Humanity's first encounter with alien intelligence." "Put it through the main speakers," Elena ordered, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. Static filled the bridge for a moment before clearing into a melodic, crystalline voice that spoke perfect English. "Greetings, beings of the third planet from your system's star. I am Ambassador Zephyr of the Galactic Federation. Please do not be alarmed by our contact. We come with peaceful intentions and urgent news." Elena exchanged glances with her senior staff. Commander Sarah Torres, her tactical officer, raised an eyebrow. "They learned our language pretty quickly." "Ambassador Zephyr," Elena responded, activating the ship's transmission systems. "I am Captain Elena Vasquez of the Earth starship, Terra Nova. We welcome contact with your Federation. Captain Vasquez, your species has reached the threshold of interstellar travel, which grants you the right to know of the greater galactic community. However, I must inform you that the galaxy faces an unprecedented crisis. We request permission to approach your vessel for direct communication." Elena considered the request. First contact protocols suggested caution, but the mention of a galactic crisis intrigued her. "Permission granted, Ambassador. Approach slowly and transmit your peaceful intentions." 20 minutes later, a ship unlike anything humanity had ever imagined appeared on their view screen. The Federation vessel resembled a living crystal, its faceted surface reflecting the light of nearby stars in rainbow patterns. It moved with fluid grace, clearly propelled by technology far beyond human understanding. The docking process was surprisingly smooth. Ambassador Zephyr materialized in the Terra Nova's main conference room, through what could only be described as controlled energy manipulation. The alien stood 7 feet tall, its body composed of what appeared to be living crystal that shifted colors with its emotions. Currently, those colors were deep blues and purples, suggesting concern or sadness. "Captain Vasquez, Dr. Chen, Commander Torres," Zephyr said, somehow knowing their names and ranks. "I thank you for this meeting. What I must tell you will change your understanding of the universe." Elena gestured to the conference table. "Please, Ambassador, tell us about this crisis you mentioned." Zephyr's crystalline form seemed to dim slightly. "For 50,000 years, the Galactic Federation has maintained peace across thousands of worlds. We have built a civilization based on cooperation, trade, and mutual understanding. Our member species are diverse but united in our commitment to harmony." Dr. Chen leaned forward, fascinated. 50,000 years of peace? How is that possible? "Because every species in the Federation evolved from prey animals or peaceful herbivores," Zephyr explained. "We learned long ago that cooperation ensures survival better than conflict. Wars ended on our worlds millennia before we reached the stars." Commander Torres frowned. "What about predators? Carnivores? Surely some species evolved from hunters." Zephyr's colors shifted to darker hues. "Those species either evolved past their predatory instincts or destroyed themselves before." achieving interstellar travel. The Federation has never encountered a sapient species that retained its hunting nature. Until now. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. Are you referring to humans? Indeed. Your species is unique in the galaxy, Captain. You evolved from persistence hunters, apex predators who survived by pursuing prey across vast distances. Your history is filled with warfare, tactical thinking, and competitive conflict. This makes you both fascinating and dangerous. The humans exchanged uncomfortable glances. Elena spoke carefully. Ambassador, humans have moved beyond our violent past. We seek peaceful exploration and cooperation. Zephyr's colors brightened, slightly. I do not doubt your peaceful intentions, Captain, but your species retains the tactical thinking and aggressive capabilities that the galaxy desperately needs. What do you mean? Dr. Chen asked. Zephyr manipulated the conference room's display system, showing images of vast space. 6 months. Ago. Sensors detected movement in the galactic void between spiral arms. What we found defies our understanding of life itself. The display showed creatures that seemed to be made of living darkness, writhing masses of shadow that moved through space without ships or technology. We call them the Void Swarm. They consume everything in their path, converting matter into more of themselves. They have already devoured 17 star systems. Elena studied the images with growing alarm. What's their origin? Where did they come from? Unknown. They appeared suddenly and began spreading toward the populated regions of the galaxy. Every Federation species that has encountered them has been completely overwhelmed. Commander Torres leaned back in her chair. What kind of resistance have you mounted? Zephyr's colors shifted to what Elena recognized as confusion. Resistance? I do not understand this concept in relation to the swarm. Military action, Torres clarified. Defense fleets, coordinated attacks, strategic countermeasures. The Federation does not engage in military action, Zephyr said slowly. We are a peaceful civilization. When faced with the swarm, our standard response is evacuation and relocation. Elena felt her mind reeling. You're telling me that an entire galactic civilization has no military? No defense forces? No weapons? Violence contradicts our fundamental nature, Zephyr explained. For 50,000 years we have resolved all conflicts through negotiation and compromise. The concept of deliberate harm to other beings is foreign to us. Dr. Chen shook his head in amazement. Ambassador, what happens when negotiation and compromise don't work? They always work, Zephyr said with absolute certainty. Every sapient species understands the value of peaceful coexistence, except the Void Swarm, Elena finished. Precisely. They do not communicate. They do not negotiate. They simply consume. And we have no idea how to stop them. The conference room fell silent as the implications sank in. Elena looked at her officers, seeing her own thoughts reflected in their faces. Humanity had just learned they were alone in the galaxy, not in the sense of being the only intelligent life, but in being the only species that understood conflict. How long before they reach inhabited systems? Torres asked. At their current rate of expansion, they will encounter the outer Federation worlds within 2 years. The core systems, including our capital, have perhaps a decade. Elena stood and walked to the view screen, staring out at the stars. Each point of light represented worlds filled with beings who had never known war, never developed weapons, never learned to fight for their survival. They were like sheep being stalked by wolves. Ambassador, she said finally, why are you telling us this? What do you expect humanity to do? Zephyr's colors brightened to warm golds and greens. The Federation Council has voted to offer your species membership and sanctuary. We have prepared worlds where humans can settle safely, far from the swarms. Projected path. We offer you the protection of our civilization. Elena turned back to face the alien ambassador. You want us to run. I want your species to survive, Zephyr said simply. The galaxy is vast. There are countless worlds where humanity could thrive in peace. Dr. Chen looked troubled. What about the trillions of Federation citizens? What happens to them? We will evacuate as many as possible. Some worlds may be lost, but our civilization will endure in distant regions of the galaxy. Elena felt something burning in her chest, a feeling she recognized from her military training. It was the same emotion she had felt when bullies threatened weaker children in school, when pirates had attacked merchant vessels during her service in Earth's Space Navy. It was protective fury, the instinct to fight for those who couldn't fight for themselves. Commander Torres, she said quietly, in your professional opinion, could humanity develop effective tactics against these void swarm creatures? Torres considered the question carefully. From what we've seen, they're biological entities that move in coordinated groups. They consume matter, which suggests they have vulnerabilities. With proper reconnaissance and tactical analysis, yes, I believe, we could develop countermeasures. Dr. Chen, could we study their biology and find weaknesses? Absolutely, Captain. Every living system has exploitable vulnerabilities. Elena turned back to Zephyr. Ambassador, has any Federation species ever successfully fought off a swarm? Attack? Fought off? Zephyr's colors shifted to confusion again. No, of course not. No civilized being would engage in violent conflict with another living entity. What if that entity is trying to kill you? Then death is preferable to abandoning our principles. Elena stared at the crystalline being, finally understanding the full scope of the situation. The galaxy's greatest civilization was about to be destroyed because they literally could not conceive of fighting back. Ambassador, she said slowly, I need to transmit our conversation to Earth. Humanity needs to discuss this offer carefully. Of course, Captain. The Federation is prepared to wait for your decision. As Zephyr prepared to return to his ship, Elena made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Ambassador, before you go, I have one question. If humanity chose not to evacuate, if we chose to stay and fight the swarm, would the Federation consider that a violation of your principles? Zephyr's entire form flickered through rapid color changes, settling on deep reds and oranges that Elena instinctively recognized as alarm. Captain, you cannot seriously be considering such an action. The swarm is unstoppable. No force in the galaxy can resist them. Elena smiled, and for the first time since meeting the alien, she let her predatory instincts show in her expression. Ambassador, you just told me that no force in the galaxy has ever tried. As Zephyr departed, Elena called an emergency meeting with her senior staff. The galaxy had lived in peace for 50,000 years, but peace had made them helpless against a threat they couldn't negotiate with. Humanity had been invited to join the galaxy as refugees, but Elena was beginning to think the galaxy needed them to be something else entirely. They needed humanity to be what they had always been: hunters, fighters, protectors of the weak. The question now was whether Earth would accept that responsibility or choose the safety of exile. Elena looked out at the stars and made her choice. The galaxy was about to learn what humans were truly made of. When prey becomes predator, 2 weeks after first contact, Elena stood in the observation deck of Federation Station Harmony, watching the most diverse collection of sapient beings she had ever imagined. The massive space station orbited the Federation capital world of Serenitas, serving as a diplomatic hub for thousands of member species. Earth's response to the Federation's offer had been swift and decisive. Instead of accepting sanctuary, humanity had proposed an alternative. They would help fight the Void Swarm. The proposal had caused unprecedented debate in the Federation Council, with many species unable to comprehend the concept of voluntary combat. Captain Vasquez, Ambassador Zephyr approached, his crystalline form now familiar to Elena after days of negotiations. High Counselor Meridian has agreed to meet with you. This is an extraordinary honor. She has guided the Federation for over 3,000 years. Elena followed Zephyr through corridors filled with beings of every conceivable shape and biology. She saw gas-based entities floating in specialized environmental suits, plant-like creatures that moved through photosynthetic locomotion, and energy beings that existed as controlled plasma fields. All of them watched the human with curious, but fearful eyes. The council chamber was a vast amphitheater designed to accommodate the diverse needs of hundreds of species. At its center sat High Counselor Meridian, an ancient being that resembled a massive tree with bark-like skin and glowing amber nodes for eyes. Her presence radiated wisdom and deep sadness. Captain Elena Vasquez of Earth, Meridian's voice resonated through bioacoustic amplifiers. I have lived for 4 millennia and guided this federation through countless challenges. Never have I encountered a proposal as troubling as yours. Elena stood straight, feeling the weight of representing her entire species. High Counselor, humanity understands your concerns, but we've studied the data on the Void Swarm. They can be stopped. Stopped through violence, Meridian said, her amber nodes dimming. You speak of war as if it were a solution rather than a failure of civilization. Dr. Chen, who had accompanied Elena to the station, stepped forward. High Counselor, with respect, the swarm doesn't recognize civilization. They're a predatory species that views all other life as prey. You can't negotiate with predators. A ripple of distress passed through the assembled delegates. Elena realized that the word predator carried almost mythical horror for these beings. Counselor Thren of the Avian Collective spoke up, his feathered form trembling. Dr. Chen, your species evolved from predatory hunters. How do we know you won't turn on us once the swarm is dealt with? Elena felt anger flash through her, but she controlled it carefully. Because humans also evolved the capacity to protect those who can't protect themselves. We form pack bonds with other species. Your federation isn't just an alliance to us, it's become our extended family. High Counselor Meridian studied Elena with ancient eyes. You would fight and die for beings you barely know? Yes, Elena said without hesitation. It's what we do. Before Meridian could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Emergency lights bathed the chamber in red as panicked voices filled the communication channels. High Counselor, came an urgent transmission. Long-range sensors detect void swarm movement toward the Kepler 442 system. The colony world of New Garden is directly in their path. Elena felt her tactical training kick in immediately. How long until they reach the planet? 18 hours, came the reply. What's the evacuation status? Elena asked. Ambassador Zephyr's colors shifted to deep distress. New Garden has 12 million inhabitants. Full evacuation would take weeks. Elena turned to her team. Dr. Chen, how quickly can we get the Terra Nova to that system? With our enhanced drive systems, 14 hours, Chen replied. High Counselor, Meridian raised a massive branch-like arm. Captain, you cannot seriously intend to engage the swarm directly. No ship has ever survived an encounter with them. Has any ship ever tried to fight them? Elena asked. Of course not. Such action would be genocide. Elena stared at the ancient being. High Counselor, with respect, standing by while they slaughtered 12 million innocents would also be genocide. The chamber erupted in debate, with delegates speaking in dozens of languages. Elena could hear the fear and confusion in their voices. These beings had lived in peace for so long that they had lost the ability to recognize when peace was impossible. I'm going, Elena announced, her voice cutting through the chaos. The Terra Nova will intercept the swarm before they reach New Garden. Captain, Meridian said desperately, your ship is alone. The swarm travels in formations of hundreds of entities. Then we'll have to be clever, Elena replied. It's what humans do best. 3 hours later, Elena stood on the bridge of the Terra Nova as they dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. What they found exceeded their worst fears. The void swarm moved through space like a living shadow, hundreds of dark entities each the size of a small moon. They pulsed with malevolent energy, consuming asteroids and space debris as they traveled toward the helpless world of New Garden. Captain, Commander Torres reported from her tactical station. I'm reading massive bioelectric fields around each entity. They're definitely alive, but unlike anything in our databases. Can we establish communication? Elena asked. Dr. Chen worked at his science station. I'm trying every frequency and communication protocol we know. No response. Either they can't communicate or they choose not to. Elena studied the tactical display. The swarm moved in a loose formation, but she could see patterns in their movement. Torres analyzed their flight paths. Are they coordinating their approach? Yes, Captain. They're moving in a classic envelopment pattern designed to surround the planet and prevent escape. Elena felt something click in her mind, the same tactical instinct that had made her one of Earth's finest military commanders. They're not just predators, she realized. They're pack hunters. Captain, Torres asked, look at their formation. It's designed for hunting, not just feeding. They coordinate their movements to prevent prey from escaping. Elena moved to the main view screen, studying the dark entities, which means they can be outmaneuvered. Captain, Dr. Chen called out urgently. I'm detecting Federation evacuation ships fleeing the planet. The swarm is changing course to intercept them. On the screen, Elena could see dozens of civilian ships fleeing New Garden, filled with refugees. The swarm entities were moving to cut them off, treating the fleeing ships like scattered prey animals. They're going to slaughter those civilians, Torres observed grimly. Elena made her decision. Red alert, all hands to battle stations. We're going hunting. The Terra Nova's weapon systems came online as Elena studied the tactical situation. The swarm had noticed the fleeing civilian ships and was moving to intercept them, but they hadn't detected the human warship yet. Captain, Torres reported, our weapons are untested against these entities. We don't know if conventional firepower will be effective. Then we'll find out, Elena said. Target the lead swarm entity. Full spread of quantum torpedoes. The torpedoes streaked through space, impacting the massive dark creature in brilliant explosions of energy. For a moment, Elena thought they had failed as the entity seemed unaffected. Then sections of its biomass began to dissolve, eaten away by quantum disruption fields. The entire swarm formation suddenly changed direction, turning toward the Terra Nova with obvious hostile intent. Captain, Dr. Chen called out excitedly. The quantum field is disrupting their bioelectric matrix. It's actually damaging them. Elena smiled grimly. They're not invincible after all. Torres, evasive maneuvers. Let's see how they adapt to a moving target. What followed was unlike any battle in galactic history. The swarm entities moved with predatory intelligence trying to surround and trap the human ship. But Elena and her crew fought back with tactics no Federation species had ever conceived of. They used the system's asteroid field for cover, laid mines in the swarm's path, and employed hit-and-run attacks that struck at the creature's coordination. They're trying to hurt us, Torres observed as swarm entities moved to block their escape. Kroots, good, Elena replied. That means they're predictable. Helm, prepare for jump to coordinates 847 Delta. Make them think we're running. The Terra Nova suddenly accelerated toward open space, with several swarm entities pursuing. Just as they closed in, Elena sprang her trap. Now, she commanded. The ship suddenly reversed course, diving back toward the planet while the pursuing entities overshot their position. In the confusion, Elena led her ship directly through the heart of the swarm formation, targeting their apparent command entity with everything they had. The massive central creature, larger than all the others, writhed as quantum torpedoes tore through its biomass. Its death scream was felt rather than heard, a psychic pulse that sent the other entities into chaos. Captain, Chen reported with amazement, the swarm is breaking formation. They're retreating. Elena watched as the remaining entities fled the system, their perfect coordination shattered by the loss of their leader. The civilian ships were safe, and New Garden was saved. Incoming transmission from the Federation fleet, Torres announced. Hi. Counselor Meridian's ancient face appeared on the view screen, her amber eyes wide with disbelief. Captain Vasquez, what have you done? We fought them, Elena said simply. And we won. But they were living beings. You destroyed them. Elena felt the weight of the moral gulf between her species and the Federation. Hi, Counselor. They were trying to destroy 12 million innocent lives. Sometimes fighting is the only way to protect those who can't protect themselves. For long moments, Meridian was silent. Then she spoke, her voice filled with wonder. and something that might have been hope. Captain, in 50,000 years of civilization, no Federation species has ever driven off an attacking force. We didn't even know it was possible. It's possible, Elena confirmed, but it requires beings willing to fight for what they believe in. As the Terra Nova escorted the civilian ships back to New Garden, Elena received transmissions from across the galaxy. News of humanity's victory over the Void Swarm spread through Federation space with unprecedented speed. For the first time in their recorded history, the galaxy had seen predators defeated by an even more capable predator. Dr. Chen joined Elena on the observation deck as they watched the rescued civilian ships docking at New Garden's orbital stations. Captain, do you realize what we've just done? We've changed the fundamental nature of galactic civilization. Elena nodded, watching families reunite through the viewports of the station. The galaxy has been prey for 50,000 years, Marcus. Today they learned what it means to have a protector. And tomorrow? Elena smiled, the expression carrying both warmth and the promise of violence to any who would threaten the innocent. Tomorrow, we teach them that humans aren't just another member species. We're the galaxy's apex predators, and this galaxy is under our protection now. Across Federation space, billions of beings who had never known war began to understand that sometimes peace could only be preserved through strength. Humanity had arrived not as refugees seeking sanctuary, but as guardians ready to hunt down any threat to their new galactic family. The age of passive civilization was ending. The age of human protection had begun.